And good afternoon! Welcome back to another episode here from the off-grid garage. But we have cloudy weather outside, a little bit of rain last couple of days. Nice. Okay, in today's show here, we will talk about the Daly BMS again. I have already prepared my 4S configuration here and connected the Daly BMS to it. I also make sure that the P- does not touch anything or is close to touch anything. Otherwise, people are getting a heart attack again and leaving bad comments. Well, talking about bad comments, the last video I made about the Daly BMS, I had over 45 thumbs down on this video. That was the most thumbs down I ever had on any video I ever made. But that's fine. People love the Daly BMS because my good old friend Will Pros shows them all the time in his videos. And many of you have said, well, they're using Daly for years and it is fine. It keeps the battery in balance. It just works. It is all good. Even with only 25 or 30 milliamp of balance current, even if the BMS is only balancing while charging, all these factored in, it is still working fine. It keeps the battery in balance. Some others have said Daly is shit, doesn't work correctly, it is a cheap brand, it's the cheapest you can buy, don't use it. So I thought, well, don't get biased by all these comments, just make up your own mind, share what you find out, and then people can decide themselves if they want to buy a Daly or a JK BMS or an Overkill or a Batrium or, I don't know, QUCC, of course. Don't forget the QUCC BMSs. Good. Okay, let's go into our software here. There's nothing showing up until I click the button here. Here. And then it shows up. It is so funny. Cool. Okay, we connect to the BMS. This all works perfectly fine. And here we can see our 4 batteries. They are pretty balanced, actually. Look at this. They are pretty balanced. Even the balancer is off. 6 millivolt deviation only. Oh, I wonder how this works. I'm surprised already, guys. Okay, let's go quickly into our settings here. Cell voltage high protection. We enter this with 3.65. Password. Oh, geez. Yeah. Okay. Cell voltage we don't need. Some voltage. It doesn't really matter if we put 14.6 in here or not, because if we reach 14.6 volts, one of the cells is at 3.65 anyway. So any of these trigger points will then disconnect the battery. Charge over current, charge under current, over discharge, over current protection. Okay, ready capacity, reference voltage, sleep waiting. So balance star. The balance. When should we get the balance to kick in? 3.5? Yeah, 3.5 volts. We want to start balancing, right? That's a good voltage to start balancing. Balanced open diff voltage, yeah, down to 2 millivolt we want to balance. See, many people left a comment under the other video saying, well, the BMS didn't work because you didn't have the temperature sensor connected, because there was none in the box. I still haven't got it, actually. But here in this menu, you can see the board 1 temperature num. You can set this to 0, and it disables the whole temperature sensor situation. Listen, we don't need this in sunny, hot Australia here. Okay, temperature protection, you can set your temperatures, and that's pretty much it. Bang, done. Okay, these are all the settings. So 3.65 is our cutoff voltage, but balancing starts at 3.5 volts. So what I would like to do now is, I would like to set up the CKE Tech tester, the EBC20, the EBC A20, the CKE Tech EBC A20. Well, I got it. This is our small battery tester from CKE Tech we have used many, many times before. And I want to connect this battery tester to our full battery here and let it cycle for probably a few times, but not completely cycle. And every time we charge and hit 3.5, it will balance. Okay, let's start with this one and see how this goes. Okay, so I have now connected the EBC A20 to the computer because we cannot do any cycle tests with the device itself. It needs to be connected to a computer. Otherwise, it does only a charge, discharge, charge cycle. but I want to do this 10 times. So anyway, I have now programmed the computer here to control the tester. So what we are going to do is now we do a constant voltage charge to 3.6 volts with 1 amp, and then we cut off at 0.2 amps, and then we wait for 1 minute, and then we discharge with 1 amp down to 3.3 volts. And step number 5 will be cycle by 10 times add. Andy, this doesn't work. I put in the single cell voltages. I'm so used to that. But we have a full battery here to test now with the software. So of course we need to change these settings to, so we charge to 14.4 volts, which is 3.6 per cell if they are all balanced. And then we wait a minute, and then we discharge to a 13.2, which is 3.3 times 4. And then we wait another minute, and then we do this 10 times. That looks much better. Okay, let's start. And now, hang on, let me start my screen recording here as well. We've got 66 millivolt difference now. You can see all the cell voltages there. Number 3 is a bit high already. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's start it and see what happens. Okay, we are now charging to 14.4 volts, and then we should see the current tapering off, unless we hit 3.65 before with one of the cells. Yep, current is tapering off. Balance has stopped now, so, and we are now in the waiting phase for 1 minute. I don't know, do I need these waiting phases actually? I'm not sure. This is more like to cool down the battery, but we are not charging with high currents here. So we've got now 99 millivolt deviation in the pack. Wow. There we go. And now we are discharging with 1 amp down to 3.3 volts. Go into this mode, we can actually see, well, 13.2 volt I should say, because we are looking at the full battery now, not at single cells. Okay, so obviously there's no balancing happening now, and the cells are coming closer together because we are going now into the flat area of the voltage curve, of the discharge curve, and the deviation obviously lowers now automatically. And we are now at 13.25, so we are close to the cutoff, and we can see the deviation has gone down to 6 millivolts only, because we are now in the flat area of the curve, and there's almost no difference in voltage in these cells, but they still have a different state of charge. We will see this in a minute again when we charge back up to 3.6, how the cells are spreading apart with their voltage. Okay, here we go. Charging has just started. You can see the cell voltages are rising again, and we are only balancing above 3.5 volts. That's what I have set the BMS to. Okay, we can now see the balancer is still turned off. And as soon as one of the cells hits 3.5, this one cell will then get balanced with 30 milliamps. We still have only 4 millivolt deviation, which is great. And we have now reached the 3.46. And you can see now the deviation kicks in again, 21 millivolt. It's rising fast now because the voltage is rising. Cell number 3 has just passed 3.5 volts. The balancer has turned on. Deviation is still rising. And we are charging to 14.4 volts, which we have reached right now. Current is now tapering off. And the balancer has turned off as well. The balancer turns off fairly quickly. We are 95, 99 millivolt again, deviation. Okay, we have now entered the next cycle. Okay, I'll leave this running until it's done, and then we have a look at the overall deviation, which is now 100 millivolts, and see if there's any changes at all, if it actually balances or not. I mean, the balance phase is fairly short once we hit 3.5 volt. But again, this is just what the design is of these BMSs. which is in my eyes completely wrong, because now we still have all the cells over 3.5 volts and the balancer should still be active if we are charging or not, regardless. It should discharge these cells now to 3.5 and then the balancer should turn off for this cell. But this is what they designed, that's what they come up with, and people say it's working. Let's find out. Okay, boys and girls, we have now done the 10 cycles and well, I don't know, I need to recharge the battery again now, because we are now at 13.2 volts. So let's recharge it to 14.4 and see what the deviation is. It doesn't look like it has done anything actually. As soon as the current here in the app goes to 0, like now, the balancer will stop. If it doesn't show any current in the app, it's not balancing. And because we are charging with 1 amp, this is just the threshold, obviously, what the app can show. I wonder if we have to repeat this test with probably 1.5 amps or something. See, now it's showing the amps, but it's not balancing because we are not over 3.5 volts, obviously. Okay, 3.45. But they are kind of in balance. 16 millivolt deviation we have. But again, the current shows 0, 1.1, 0, 1.1. So cell number 3 now, cell number 4 over 3.5. And now the balancer has kicked in. Balancer is off again for some reason, I don't know why. 30 millivolt deviation. Current is off, but we are still charging. Yes, we are still charging, I can confirm that. No balancing, no current showing. But over 3.5, all of them. So they all should be balanced now. Now we're reaching 3.63. And the current is tapering off. 150 milliamps we are charging with. And this is obviously too low to show, so there's no balancing. Okay, and that's it. We've got 84 millivolt deviation from 99. Yeah, I don't know. Does this work over time? I mean, this were just 10 microcycles now. It is only 50 milliampere hours which we discharge or charge then into the battery, so it's very shallow cycle. But this is usually what you face with these batteries. You know, you discharge them and then you charge them up again. And if you go over 3.5 and the app still shows a current, the balancer will kick in and will take off a little bit. It will shave off a little bit of current of this one cell. Okay, I would say because this didn't take too long, we changed the settings in the CKE tech. Let's change the settings a little bit. So step number 1, let's charge with 1.3 amps, right? Okay, add. Okay, we're already discharging now. And let's give it another, I don't know, this may take 20 minutes, 30 minutes or so. Okay, I'll stop the recording here. And I shall see you back very, very soon. We have done another 10 cycles from 13.2 to 14.4. So 3.3 to 3.6. And now we are going to charge the battery again to 3.6 volts per cell and see how much deviation we actually have after 20 cycles. Okay, well, the first 10 really didn't count because the app, well, the balancing doesn't start if the app doesn't show any current flowing. I mean, really? So at the moment, everything is still good because we are in the flat area of the curve. And we have only 4 millivolt deviation, which doesn't mean anything. So we're just hitting 3.4 volts. But now we can see the app actually shows a current 1.1 or 1.4 amps all the time. So as soon as one cell hits now 3.5, the balancer should kick in and should stay turned on until the app goes under the threshold for its current measurement. 3.45, deviation is rising. Okay, we are coming close to 3.5. And there, balancer is on. We've got number 1, 3 and 4 over 3.5. So it is now balancing all 4 cells. See, the current is now 0 and the balancer has turned off. We are at 14.4 volts. We are charging with 130 milliamps. So charger has just turned off. That's it. So we have come down a little bit. 72, 70 millivolt deviation now it shows. It was like 80, 90, 95 millivolt before. And now we are at 70. So there is a tiny improvement. Well, I don't know. Shall I keep going? Does this make sense? Should I just do another 30 of these cycles now? If we go back into our cycle testing. Okay, let's do it. In the name of science, let's do it. Okay, talk to you later. And welcome back. Just if you wonder how 30 cycles look like, that's how it looks like. Okay, let's start our screen recording here. Recharge it to 14.4, GSR 3.6, just in case you have forgotten. Well, it's a long time for me since I was here the last time. Okay, let's see how much deviation we have. There are always these awkward moments when you just have to wait for something to happen and it takes longer than expected. It's 10 p.m. already. And we are at 3.45 volts. Yeah. So, slowly charging. Okay, let's see. 3.5. Number 4 has reached 3.5. Number 1. The balancer. Come on, Mr. Balancer. Why is the balancer not turning on here? Why is it not turning on? No balancing. What is going on here? Why is the balancer? Now it is turning on. Why is it so late? Alright, current is tapering off. Balancer is off already again. But we are at 25 millivolt deviation, so not bad. 29. $31. 130 milliamp we are still charging. 120. Okay, charging has stopped now. 41 millivolt deviation we still have. 41 millivolt. So it has balanced a tiny bit from about 80 millivolt down to 40 millivolt. Within, well guys, this was 50 charges now, 50 cycles, right? We've done 10, we've done another 10, and then I said, well, f it, give it 30 cycles. So 50 cycles altogether, and we are still at 42 millivolt deviation. I think this is not good enough. This was good in the 70s, but today, this is not good enough anymore. I don't really know how people do this with the Daly BMS if you have these high capacity cells, like the EV280 or 304 ampere hour cells with 30 milliamp balance current, and it's only balancing while it's charging. This is doing nothing to these cells. I can understand if you do a full top balancing at the beginning, right? So the cells are really 100% top balanced, perfectly fine. And then you put the Daly BMS on and it keeps the batteries in balance. But over time, or if you have very high discharge current, or if the cells are aging, the drift will get more. And the balancer with 30 milliamp will not keep up with that. Well, this is basically how it looks like, what we have here with the 4S configuration and the Daly BMS. We've got our 4 cells and we're charging with 1 amp. Now, because of the difference in internal resistance, some of the cell voltages are rising faster than others. As soon as we hit the programmed 3.5 volts, which we have set in the BMS here, the actual balancer will kick in and closes the contact. That means we are discharging this one cell over a resistor with 30 milliamps. We are still charging the whole pack with 1 amp, but we are also taking 30 milliamps away from this cell. So effectively, all the other cells are getting still 1 amp, but this one gets only 0.97 amps, right? Because we are taking away a little bit with the balancer. And this tiny amount of current we are taking away every time we're charging, yeah, every time, balances the pack. This is the concept behind the Daly BMS balancing function. Unfortunately, these balancers are not working if there is no current flowing. Even worse, if the app is not showing any current. We have seen this many times during our test today here. If the app is showing 0.0 amps, the balancer will turn off. Even there is maybe still 700, 800, 900 milliamps going through the pack, the balancer will turn off and not balance in the pack. And this method seems still to work with the Palo 5.5 ampere hour cells here. But imagine we have the big EVE 280 ampere hour cells and we are shaving off 30 milliamps every time we charge these cells above 3.5 volts. And we have already done 50 cycles now with this setup here, and the deviation is down from 80 millivolt to 40 millivolt only. So how many 100 times do you have to charge the EV cells then to achieve a little bit of balancing with this BMS? Hello and welcome back to another crazy morning here from the off-grid garage. Well, we have seen from the 50 cycles, from the 50 microcycles we have done recharging the battery, we could see the deviation went down from 80 millivolt to about 40 millivolt. So balancing is definitely working with the Daly BMSs, but again, it took us 50 cycles to achieve that. I still don't understand why the engineers at Daly are doing such a weird construct with the balancing, the very small balancing as one point, and also why it is only balancing while charging. And why the BMS is not doing it right now, just even there's no charge current coming in, I don't see a benefit from that. I can only see the disadvantage of that. Any other BMS I have tested so far, I can just connect to the batteries, turn on the balancer to a certain voltage, and it starts balancing. They all act as an active balancer, not active, but a standalone balancer. And I've done this multiple times with the EV 280 ampere hour batteries. You know, I just turned on the balancer overnight of the QUCC BMS, and in the morning the pack was perfectly balanced again, top balanced, fully automatically. This is just not possible with the Daly here. This is a really downside I can see in this design of the balancing function of this BMS. And I don't really understand what the benefit of this is. I guess the design of this BMS is still the same as it was 10 years ago. So yeah, I don't know. I'm 100% sure it will balance over time, but you know, it probably needs another 50 cycles or so until it's fully balanced. And then, well, any other BMS would have done it overnight and it's done. I'm not sure what the reason for this design is, but I think it is outdated these days. We've got active balancing these days. We've got BMSs with active balancers included these days. I'm not sure why I should use one of the Daly BMSs over another one. Alright guys, as always, leave your comments down below. I'm always keen to read your comments. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all your support here on the channel. Thanks for all your donations. And thanks for everyone who bought t-shirts so far. This is all great support and much appreciated. Until the next video guys, stay charged, stay safe, and thank you again for watching. See you then. Bye bye.